Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to recap the 1987 American war comedy film Good Morning, Vietnam. Sit back and enjoy. In 1965, amidst the intensifying Vietnam War, Airman Second Class Adrian Cronauer arrives in Saigon. He is brought in as a DJ for the Armed Forces radio service, expected to revitalize the station with his energetic personality and unique style. The city of Saigon is a chaotic, intense environment, reflective of the broader conflict engulfing the region. Private Edward Garlick is assigned to escort Cronauer to the radio station. Garlick quickly becomes Cronauer's loyal sidekick and friend, charmed by his larger-than-life persona and excited by the prospect of change at the station. As they navigate through the bustling streets of Saigon, Garlick briefs Cronauer on the station's current state, emphasizing the strict censorship policies enforced by the military. Upon arriving at the station, Cronauer meets his superiors, Second Lieutenant Stephen Hawk and Sergeant Major Philip Dickerson. Hawk is a by-the-book officer who strictly adheres to Army guidelines regarding humor and music programming. His lack of a sense of humor and rigid adherence to rules make him an immediate foil to Cronauer's irreverent style. Dickerson, on the other hand, is a harsh authoritarian figure who views Cronauer's freewheeling approach as a direct threat to military order and discipline. He is generally abusive toward all enlisted men, and his disdain for Cronauer is palpable from their first encounter. After this meeting, Cronauer kicks off his first broadcast with a booming greeting. Good morning, Vietnam! Delivered with exuberant energy. This opening phrase instantly grabs the attention of the troops listening and becomes a signature part of his show. Cronauer's broadcast is a mix of strictly censored news, irreverent humor segments, and contemporary rock and roll music. Artists like Elvis Presley, the Beach Boys, and James Brown fill the airwaves, a stark contrast to the easy-listening tunes preferred by the military brass. The response from the soldiers is overwhelmingly positive. Cronauer's humor and music provide a much-needed respite from the daily horrors of war, offering a slice of normalcy and a reminder of home. His broadcasts quickly become a lifeline for many troops, boosting morale and giving them something to look forward to. The contrast between Cronauer's lively shows and the dull, sanitized content preferred by Hawk and Dickerson underscores a key theme of the film: the clash between individuality and conformity. Outside the radio station, Cronauer's life in Saigon deepens as he forms relationships with local Vietnamese people at Jimmy Hoa, a popular bar with American GIs. Eventually, he becomes infatuated with Trin, a beautiful Vietnamese girl. Following her to an English class, Cronauer bribes the teacher to let him take over, turning the lesson into a hilarious session filled with American slang and profanity. This scene not only showcases Cronauer's comedic talents, but also highlights the cultural barriers and social challenges faced by Americans in Vietnam. After class, Trin's brother Tuan, who also happens to be at the class, confronts Cronauer regarding his intentions. However, as Cronauer realizes Tuan's relationship with her, he redirects his efforts into forming a friendship with Tuan. This relationship becomes central to the narrative, offering Cronauer and us a deeper insight into the Vietnamese perspective on the war. Later, Cronauer takes Tuan to Jimmy Hoa's, but this outing turns confrontational when two racist soldiers object to Tuan's presence, leading to a brawl. This incident illustrates the racial and cultural tensions within the American military and the broader war context. It also sets up a significant conflict between Cronauer and Dickerson, who reprimands Cronauer harshly, seeing the incident as further proof of Cronauer's insubordination. The conflict between Cronauer and his superiors reaches a peak with the bombing of Jimmy Hoa's. Fortunately, Tuan pulls Cronauer out of the bar just before it explodes, saving his life but leaving him deeply shaken. The military censors the news of the bombing, but Cronauer, driven by a sense of journalistic duty, locks himself in the studio and reports the event live on air. In a fury, Dickerson swiftly responds by cutting off the broadcast, and he immediately suspends Cronauer until further notice. This incident highlights the ethical battle over censorship and the dissemination of truth. In Cronauer's absence, Lieutenant Hawk happily takes over the broadcast. But the others advise him otherwise. Hawk's attempts at humor fall flat, and his choice of polka music alienates the listeners. Everyone can feel the true value of what Cronauer was providing them. After the show, Hawk feels proud, but reality says otherwise. With a flood of complaints, and demands for Kronauer's reinstatement. This sequence underscores Hawk's fundamental misunderstanding of what the troops need and want, further contrasting his rigid adherence to rules with Kronauer's more empathetic and human approach. At this time, General Taylor intervenes, ordering Hawk to reinstate Kronauer. Garlic happily takes on the task to get Kronauer back and heads out. However, suspended and demoralized, Kronauer can be seen spending his days drinking and making unsuccessful attempts to win over Trin. His once vibrant spirit appears broken, and he begins to question the value of his efforts. This period of reflection is crucial for his character development, showing a more vulnerable side of Kronauer as he grapples with the moral and ethical implications of his work. Despite Garlic's repeated persuasion, Kronauer rejects the idea of going back to the place that hides the truth from everyone. Soon enough, the turning point comes when Garlic and Kronauer come across a convoy of soldiers heading to the front lines. Garlic uses the opportunity and persuades Kronauer to perform an impromptu broadcast for them. The soldiers' enthusiastic response reignites Kronauer's passion and sense of purpose, reminding him why his work is important. This moment reaffirms the film's message about the power of humor and music to uplift and sustain the human spirit in times of hardship. Despite his initial reluctance, Kronauer returns to the airwaves, bringing back his signature humor and music. His broadcasts once again become a source of joy and solace for the troops. This redemption arc highlights Kronauer's resilience and the enduring impact of his work. Dickerson, determined to get rid of Kronauer permanently, approves his request to interview soldiers in the field, but routes him through a Viet Cong-controlled area. The trip turns perilous when Kronauer and Garlic's jeep hits a mine, forcing them to hide from enemy patrols. Tuan, finding Kronauer absent from the English class, learns of Kronauer's mission. He steals a van and heads over to the site and successfully rescues them, demonstrating his complex loyalty and the deep bond he shares with Kronauer. Back at the base, Dickerson confronts Kronauer with the revelation that Tuan is a Viet Cong operative known as Phan Duc Tu, responsible for the bombing of Jimmy Waz. This disclosure shocks Kronauer, who feels betrayed by his friend, despite knowing that it was far too easy for a boy to save them earlier and also from the bombing of Jimmy Wah. Dickerson uses this information to ensure Kronauer's honorable discharge, claiming that his association with Tuan would damage the reputation of the U.S. Army. Having gotten his farewell ticket, Kronauer decides to confront Tuan and tracks him down. Tuan admits that the U.S. Army's actions devastated his village, making the Americans his enemies. However, he also acknowledges that he chose to save Kronauer's life, valuing their friendship despite the war. This confrontation is a powerful moment that encapsulates the film's exploration of loyalty, betrayal, and the human cost of war. Understanding Tuan's situation and their different positions, Kronauer leaves Tuan, and before he leaves Vietnam, Kronauer sets up a quick softball game for the students in his English class as a final gesture of goodwill. He bids a poignant farewell to Trin, acknowledging the unbridgeable cultural and emotional barriers between them. As he prepares to board the plane, Kronauer gives Garlic a taped farewell message, ensuring his voice will be heard one last time. The next morning, Garlic takes over as the new DJ and plays Kronauer's tape on the air. The message begins with Kronauer's trademark exuberance, "Goodbye, Vietnam." It is a bittersweet moment, capturing the essence of Kronauer's impact on the troops and the station. His departure marks the end of a transformative chapter, but his legacy of humor, humanity, and defiance in the face of censorship endures. One of the central themes of Good Morning Vietnam is the use of humor as a coping mechanism. Kronauer's broadcasts provide the troops with a mental and emotional escape from the harsh realities of war. His irreverent humor and upbeat music help to alleviate the stress and fear that pervade their daily lives. The film illustrates how laughter can be a powerful tool for resilience, helping individuals maintain their humanity in the face of dehumanizing circumstances. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I shall see you again in another video like this. Until then, this is your host from Movie Recap signing off.